Hello, folks, and welcome to the Speed Street Podcast. I think this is the first ever Speed Street Podcast that I'm doing in a hoodie today, and it's a Speed Street hoodie.
Looks nice.
They are available. I'm not sure if they're available or not on the Dirty Mo Media website, but we did have merch for sale this year, and it was great to see folks at the racetracks wearing some Speed Street merch. We appreciate you folks who invested into those items. And this is our season finale. So just putting that out there right out the gate. We had a certain amount of episodes that we could do, and we have reached the end of that time period. So it's time for an off season. Now, I will be missing this show a lot, and I will try to keep some stuff coming out there on the YouTubes potentially, should things happen. And I wish that I had something to announce to you today on this show to kind of cap off the season, but I do not. But we have a lot to talk about. We have a lot of things that I would like to share with you folks that I think are interesting about the racing world. There's a lot of interesting debates going on in the racing world, whether that comes to NASCAR championship finales and, oh no, would IndyCar ever go to a playoff type system? I'd like to give you my thoughts on those systems. We have a Formula One event that I'm going to go out and be a part of next week in Las Vegas. Once again, I'll do some commentary. There's been some IndyCar testing at Phoenix. Great to see IndyCars at another oval. That's very, very great news. And just kind of want to shoot the breeze, shoot the bad word that I'm not going to say with all of you fine folks. Because we appreciate, I think going into this off season, you know, I'll be honest with you guys, we're gonna need we're gonna need to figure out a way to get this show sponsored as well. So we're gonna look for some show sponsorships to continue this program, because I would like to continue it. But it's been amazing to chat with everyone, and I really enjoy sharing. Probably far too much, so much so that maybe it's gotten me in trouble every now and then, but I don't really care. I like just being honest. I like to be honest. I'm an honest man.
It's a good thing.
I like to tell you guys some of the raw realities of this sport, which we are seeing a lot of in the Alex Palou McLaren lawsuit. I think there's a lot of words and a lot of workings that are wild to see in real life. And so I'm trying to share that with you without getting into a lawsuit and without getting into any naughty areas. But here we are. We're in an off season of racing. Chase, the NASCAR championship is now over. A lot of debate over that too, which I would actually like to talk about at some point. But how are we feeling, Chase? You've been doing a lot of fun things. You've been at dirt races too. A lot of people will appreciate that.
Yeah, I got dirty, dude. I got to check out my first World of Outlaws race.
Great racing
weekend. Yeah, and it was the World Finals at that. Big shout out to everybody at Dirt Vision, NAS, World Outlaws. They let me do something kind of new. They let me do like an alternate broadcast of the race, all 3 nights, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday on YouTube, which was epic. Had a lot of awesome dirt fans join in, a lot of IndyCar fans and NASCAR fans, some of the newer fans, casual fans that didn't know much about it. So, you know, it's tough for me to let go of racing. Like, we have a very long off season in IndyCar, so then I jump into NASCAR, and now NASCAR's over, I jump into dirt. I'm always just trying to find a way to watch people go fast, dude. So, like,
I like that.
Fast.
I like that. There are obviously a few IndyCar news topics, and let's just get right into those right out the gate, because I think there are some things that people were wondering. And we did see that Cal Collette is officially in the Foyt seat, the second seat. That was kind of assumed. Now, there was a rocky road to get there. It seems like there was some it did take longer than it seemed like it was expected for folks to get that locked in. And again, am I very jealous of Mr. Collette? Yes, of course. Like, that would be an awesome seat to be in. Talked to Larry a lot about it. Was working on trying to get in there. But I am always happy for rookies getting a shot, right? He's quick in Indy NXT. Never upset, and nor will I ever be upset about rookies getting a chance in IndyCar, because it is truly an incredible experience to be a part of this series. So very, very happy for him and his group there. Obviously, they announced a sponsor with that group as well. He found the right amount of support to get there, and that's what you got to do. That's the hardest thing to do to get into IndyCars, is finding, especially when you don't win the Indy NXT championship, finding that financial support to get behind you and to put you in the right spot. Oh, that's like 1 in a billion. It's very hard. So congrats to him and his team and his group for getting that sorted out. There was a Phoenix tire test as well, which we mentioned a little bit. That's really cool. You had Alex Rossi out there, Scott Dixon out there running. And let me tell you something about Phoenix, because I am an IndyCar driver who got to drive at Phoenix. I got to race at Phoenix. And I raced at Phoenix when we had a ton of downforce in the cars, the Aero Kit era, and it was flat out, full throttle in qualifying, and very, very fast. I'm very curious to see what we do with our cars to make the race good there. Now, I actually enjoy quite a lot watching the Xfinity race, the truck race at Phoenix. I think it's fantastic. Now, the Cup race, not quite as good as I would say as the Xfinity or the truck race was there, because I think we've seen this Cup car be a little bit more like the IndyCar when it comes to aerodynamics being super important, and dirty air being very, very difficult to navigate around. So the best case scenario, I think, for us, IndyCar at Phoenix, is to have a tire wear race like the Iowa race of old. So Iowa before the repave. I think we're going to need some heavy tire deg and heavy tire wear to make that race better for us. And I believe our series knows that. And I think with how good our series did creating a package for Nashville and for Milwaukee, which a lot of people thought Milwaukee would be a bad race, and a lot of people thought Nashville would be a bad race. Two very good races, in my opinion. Two very good races.
Absolute good races.
So I think we can do it. And this test was basically the first step towards, all right, well, when we come back again, because I'm sure there's going to be another test, probably an open test for everyone. Here's what we're going to do to the tire. Here's what we're going to do to the aerodynamics package. And we'll go from there. So I think it could be a tougher race than Phoenix a tougher race than Milwaukee or Nashville to make good, because Nashville, you do have the high banks that we could use very, very well. And Milwaukee, you ended up having those two different surfaces and a very wide track because, well, us as drivers went there. So very curious to see the rules package. But from a driver's perspective, what we need to be looking for is, I think, high tire deg and a little bit of slipping and sliding, and making sure that the marbling is not super, super aggressive. Because, again, our cars, we can't do the cup lines, the NASCAR, the stock car lines where you're going below the yellow line and turns 1 and 2 and 3, like all over the map down the back straight. Well, the front straight, I guess now, in the kink down there, we can't.
The dog leg.
Yeah, the dog leg. We can't go where those guys are going. I mean, technically, I guess we could. It would just be a very bumpy ride, because if the stock cars are like throwing sparks everywhere, we'd probably be breaking suspension. So it'd be rough. That's a wild one. But what was it like, Chase? Because you obviously newer to the IndyCar scene, you now saw IndyCars on the Phoenix Raceway circuit. What did that look like for you? That had to have been exciting.
It really is, man, and there's a lot of people that are chattering about that event that's coming up, especially on the NASCAR side of things. I had a good bit of conversations this past weekend about it, really. So it sounds like things, went well for Rossi and Dixon. I'm excited to see more cars on that track before, the actual event. But a lot of excitement's building up right now in the NASCAR circles for that, and people have been asking me more and more questions. And I just have to be honest with them. I tell them, like, you're going to see these cars are going to go a little bit faster than the NASCAR Gen 7 car. I was like, so you may find yourself becoming a fan of this series after that weekend if you're going to be in Phoenix, because I think we all know by now, and a lot of people that listen to this show, it's a thrill. I call it open wheel thrill for a reason, right? So,
but it's also awesome that it's the same weekend, right? Like I think this is a big win, a big win for wheel enjoyers, for racing enjoyers, American motor racing. This has to be a weekend that you're going to enjoy. And I think I certainly, as a fan, let's say I'm completely unemployed and I'm only looking at a month of May type program. I want to go to Phoenix still because I would like to see all of the motor racing. I would like to be a part of what's going on out there. And that would be a lot of fun. So that's going to be cool. And from what I heard so far, I obviously did a little bit of research because I will not name names because I'd like to, keep my sources anonymous. Anonymous or what? Hang on, anonymous. I'm just kidding. I just said all those words because it's fun to say. Anonymous sources, they are going to have to do some work because I think with the way our cars work aerodynamically, the straights are not very long. Now, they're not very long at Milwaukee, but the tire deg was good enough to kind of make us work a little bit. And the ideal line at Milwaukee was a little bit one lane higher. Now, the ideal line at Phoenix is not going to be one lane higher. It's going to be, shortest way around the track is the best way around the track. So you're going to have to figure out a way to get these tires to move around a little bit. You're going to get, and now we as drivers may not like that, but I think it's the best way to create a good race. It's hard. It was hard to get that track to open up, like 2 lanes when back in the day. However, we weren't as focused back in the day, 2017, 2016, on creating this different style of oval racing for IndyCar. It was just like, all right, yeah, we got a ton of downforce, we got a ton of grip. Let's just try to go racing here. And honestly, it wasn't a great race. It wasn't. I think that we will be able to create a better product now. So I'm excited to see what we can come up with.
Tires are all the rage, man. I mean,
yes,
the big thing is when you look at, if you look at what Goodyear's doing over in NASCAR, like it's very easy to see that the technology is here that Firestone can do those same things. I know everyone's always going to worry about like, oh, well, what if it's not right and it takes my driver out of the race, this, that, the other. You just got to trust the process. That's what I tell people all the time. I mean, they're trying to find a way to make this type of racing as exciting as possible, to create strategy for the fans, for the teams, really. So that's my favorite part about it, is just seeing how the teams are going to handle this tire and how that's going to basically come together while the race is happening. So that's going to be a fun thing to watch.
I hope personally, like, remember when we went to Milwaukee for the very first time, the very first race was awesome because no one actually knew exactly what was going on yet.
Yeah.
And since then, we've obviously learned everyone's got a little bit better of a car, and race 2 is a little bit closer, a little bit less chaotic as race 1. But part of me hopes that like that first race at Phoenix is going to be crazy because we actually don't know what's going to happen yet. And that I think is so fun about IndyCar, going to kind of new venues and not new venues entirely, but a new place, because that first race in Milwaukee, there was nothing like that one. That was just wild. People were all over the place. Strategies, tires going off.
Element of surprise.
Exactly. So I think we could get that at Phoenix. At least I hope so. So that'll be interesting. But we also had some other news that happened literally as we dropped our episode 2 weeks ago. Marco Andretti is retiring from motor racing. Now, I had asked Marco to be on the show that day, and he was like, no, can't do it yet. And then he had his announcement come out. And then I actually went to his house that weekend for Halloween. So it was good to hang out with Marco and chat with him. And I think Marco's in a good mental spot. He's got his daughter. He's thinking about life. What's next in life? So really, honestly, Marco, I can't even imagine being a part of the Andretti family, first of all. Like when your grandfather's Mario Andretti, your dad is Michael Andretti. Crazy. I mean, that puts a level of pressure on you as a person that I cannot even imagine. And, Marco's a multi-time race winner, Indy 500 pole sitter. The guy is a very, very fast driver. And honestly, I got to give him credit. One of the best people to actually race against. A fair racer, a good racer. And I think he can be very proud of what he did in our sport. And it's going to be so strange next year at the Indy 500 without an Andretti in the Indy 500. It's been a long time since we haven't had an Andretti in the Indy 500. How crazy is that? It's been like 100 million years, I think, since there's been an Andretti not in the Indy 500.
It sounds like next year is going to be full of firsts. I would put it that way. Like, for one thing with Marco, like, the amount of people that made a video for him and talking to him, like, there was like pretty much everybody.
He's a good person. Like, Marco is he's a great friend as well. Great friend. Yeah.
It shows, but like all the different people that you got to hear from and see from inside the IndyCar world, from the NASCAR world, Hinch had some funny stuff to say about him. Like, it was really cool. Like, for me, not really growing up watching a lot of Mario Andretti racing, like, to see the impact that he had as a newer IndyCar fan on the entire community was really what kind of drove it home for me. So, yeah, I just, dude hangs out with Ludacris, man. I say it all the time. I mean, that's just really, that's all you really got to know, dude.
Got a great friend group.
Yeah.
Great friend group.
Dude packed in tight. So, yeah, maybe it would have been cool to have him on. But,
yeah, we are going to have him on eventually. Obviously, we're in the off season now for our show, but I think we would like to have him on the program at some point. So had to cover that and had to touch on that a little bit. That does. Now, I did get a lot of comments. People were like, "Oh, can you go to the '98 car now for if you only had to do the Indy 500?" That's not what's going to happen for me. That would be amazing if let's say if that was the only, if for some reason a full-time option is not available, let's just say that there's probably more folks in their network that would occupy that seat over me, I would say. So not really on the cards for me, but thank you for thinking of me for that. Yeah, what a wild. I keep thinking back in real time of like someone said that there hasn't been a year that they were alive that there was not an Andretti, and like
Holy
I was like, yeah,
crap,
ever
dude.
since I was a human being on this earth, there was an Andretti in the Indy 500. Like, that's crazy. You know what I mean? It's something that is kind of hard to it's just hard to believe.
It's an end of an era for real.
Yeah.
Like, it's a true end of an era. Like, there's people throw that around loosely all the time, but like in this case, this is like probably the deepest gut punch of end of an era there can be.
Absolutely.
Until the next one comes along.
Yeah, and then speaking of Andretti news, we saw that Kyle Kirkwood signed an extension. They did a big video with that, which was actually a really cool video, really well done video. And again, why would
he was in New York?
Yeah. Kyle's been out here doing media stuff. He went to a movie premiere. Shout out IndyCar for getting our drivers out into the public eye, because it's horrible to not be racing right now. It's very sad.
Yeah.
But yeah, Kyle Kirkwood, obviously, why would you go anywhere else? I mean, it's a great group that believes in you. They believed in him since day one, it seems like. And he fought for the championship for them for this year. Got some wins for them already. And Kyle Kirkwood is a very fast driver. So enjoy racing with Kyle Kirkwood myself. I enjoy Kyle as a human being. And that was really, really good to see. It's actually really funny nowadays how anytime anyone announces a multi-year agreement, no one ever puts numbers on these agreements. Like in the NFL, you always get like a 2-3 year deal, like 4-year contract, whatever. It's so funny that racing teams, this is how uncommitted race teams are to drivers. No, I'm just kidding. That's mean. That's only me.
Give us the dates.
A multi-year agreement could be 30 years. Could be 30.
Yeah.
But it could be 2 as well. Hey, multi-year is a great way to say it, because it opens up our minds to the future. And Kyle is there for the future. So that's good for Kyle. We love it. That was really good to see for him. There's other things going on as well. The McLaren and Palou case, the whole lawsuit, that's coming to a close. So if you haven't, still, again, I think I said it on the last show, but if you haven't read into that, you got to read some of these things. I mean, it goes into talking about how much Nolan Siegel is paying for his seat there and how much he has paid and all the different, how much everyone's getting paid. I mean, if you want to see exactly the salaries of Christian Lundgaard and Pato O'Ward, it's in there.
It's a hot season for race law right now.
Oh, yeah, racing law lawsuits. Yeah.
We're going to roll right into that to NASCAR 2311 FRM. So,
oh, yeah, geez.
Yeah, they need maybe like a racing law channel where we can watch all of these court cases unfold in real time.
There's got to be a Discord for that already, but who knows? Yeah, it's crazy.
For sure. Documents are fun.
So that's honestly been very fascinating to pay attention to. I just reading into some of that stuff has been truly fascinating. And there's a couple things that I do also want to get into that really is just a discussion. And I think first we should probably talk about maybe my plans. Let's just get into that because I don't want to take too much time with that. I actually really want to talk a little bit about the whole NASCAR points championship drama because there is a crossroads with IndyCar there. There was a crossroads. So we're not just going to talk. This is an IndyCar show, but some of what happens in NASCAR, sometimes people wonder, is it going to come over here or what's going on? Are we nervous? Maybe. So we're going to talk about that. But Chase, I had a story that I was going to tell you because I wanted to get your raw reaction to it. I haven't told really anyone this. And honestly, I don't know if I should. There's a lot of things I say on this show I probably
you
shouldn't
should tell
say.
me now.
Yeah, there's a lot of things on this show that I probably shouldn't say and that I get in trouble for. But at one point, so my off season is complete chaos. It basically, if you extricated my brain through my ears and put it in a blender full of cayenne peppers, that's what it feels like every day. Your life changes from one day to the next. And it shouldn't be that way. Honestly, it should not. But for some reason, I find myself in this position. And what's funny is I know a lot of the folks that support us, that support me, listen to this podcast, and I appreciate them for doing that. And first of all, shout out to the folks that support our program, the AMPM folks, the ARCO folks that, hey, they're great people. And I just want to say that these last couple weeks have been just, I don't know how to describe it, honestly. So to put it in perspective, let's say you had your dream job right in front of you, or at least the pathway to it. And someone handed you the keys to that building where you're like, yep, here you go. Oh, cool. And then as soon as you had the keys in your hand and you're like, oh, cool, I get to do this. Those keys disintegrated. Like, haha, joke's on you. That's kind of what it feels like sometimes in this sport. You get told things. You get things that happen that you're like, oh, cool. This is going to be awesome. And then the next day, actually, that's not happening. I first of all, don't know another business that's like that. I'm not sure if many are. To be honest, I don't know the inner workings of like the NFL, the NBA, the MLB. I'm sure that stuff happens more often. But racing is just, there are far more drivers than there are seats, right? So there's a lot of hungry sharks in the water.
Shark Tank.
At one point, less than a week and a half ago, Chase, I had a full-time NASCAR Xfinity season seat contract in front of me, ready to go. I was looking at places to live in Charlotte. Honestly, I was like, cool, this is going to be awesome. And I won't name any. I'm not going to name any names of anyone. It was fascinating.
It's kind of important.
Yeah, it was fascinating to think about. I was like, you know what, this would be cool. Someone wants me to come and drive. This seems like a good situation. We were doing the research, and I was already looking at, like, how am I going to live in Charlotte? Like, when do I drive over there? And then, like, the next day, nah, sorry, it's gone. And it got, like, essentially, I mean, what happened was someone had far more money than I did.
Of course.
I believe. Now, again, shout out to these folks for even thinking of me. I don't want to name any names, but I am very appreciative to have even been thought of. And I think I was so excited for this opportunity. I was pumped because it just felt like, hey, you know what? If this is the way life works out and I have to make a switch, I'm good for it. I'm going full bore into that world.
You want to race,
and then
dude, at the end of the day. Huh? You just want to race, dude.
I want to be a race car driver. Yeah, I want to be a race car driver. So it was one of those things that is so hard to believe that could, for like 2 or 3 days, I was like, cool, I think I'm going to go NASCAR racing. And then it was just gone. So, again, I only tell that story because I like being honest with people, and I like sharing how wild this, like, day-to-day life. Literally, one day I think I'm moving, and the next day, back to square one. So,
it really is. It's so last minute, and I mean, even from just stuff that I've done on the media end, man, it's just But I feel like, and like you get used to the industry in a way, and I think that this probably goes wider than just the industry, and maybe it affects other industries. But it's so easy to just be like, that's business, and sometimes we forget that humans do have emotions, and maybe it gets dismissed a little bit too much with that's just business. And so it's a weird line, man. It's a weird line.
It is a business. And look, I know how this works more than anyone. And I'm not upset about it. I was just so excited about a new terrain, a new frontier per se.
And it could happen tomorrow.
Maybe this whole opportunity came up, and all of a sudden I was like, really? I was like, there's no way. And then I was like, oh, cool, here we go. Yeah. And you know what? That's all right. We're gonna keep moving on. But for me, it's a wild thing to experience, because I've seen everything in this sport. I mean, when I was 16, USF1 team was going to be an F1 team, and I was like getting ready to sign as their development driver for a US Formula 1 team that didn't exist. I was like, oh, life's going to be great. Like, I'm a Formula 1 driver at 16, 17. Yeah. And that team didn't exist. You know what I mean? Like, it was one of those things that I've seen some wild stuff in this sport.
You get numb, man. You get numb after a while. You're just kind of like, okay, we'll see. Yeah.
It's true. I again, as I say in motorsport, and as I tell every other young driver, don't ever believe anything until you're literally sitting in the seat, rolling out of the pit lane for the first practice of the season. That's when you can believe that it's real. And it can be taken away from you at any time. So, wow. So then another opportunity presented itself on the IndyCar side that I did not expect. And all of a sudden we're like, hey, are you guys like ready to get this going like right away? And we're like, yeah, definitely. And then the next day that was gone too. So you're like, oh man. So again, this is, I'm a human person, I believe. I may have type 1 diabetes, but I'm still a human person. Yeah. And I have a heart and a brain, and those things, let me tell you, this time of year and this sport will put you through some of the most vicious highs and lows. And I still just try to think like, hey, tomorrow's going to be the best day ever. And inside, I'm not going to lie, inside, I sometimes don't think that. I might show it on the outside, like on this program. But I like to be honest with you guys. It's just a crazy time of year. So tomorrow, who knows? Maybe life changes tomorrow. But
and
I just
want to snowing on top of
it's snowing
of everything else. So it's cold on the inside and the outside. You know what I mean? Like,
so overall, I am still in the fight. Like we are not dead yet by any means. Yeah. We actually we are again continuously looking for more partners. We need to build our program to where when we walk to the front of essentially Dale Coyne Racing shop, because that's the only seat left, we can't be turned away with like if I towed Santa's sleigh full of cash up there, I feel like that's probably the best way to secure it. But we have great partners that are committed to our program, and I'm super proud of the program that we've built, honestly. And I actually don't know what else there is that's going on. I'm sure there's, again, 100 drivers in the same spot as me. They're all showing up to the door of the open seats. But I feel good, and I feel ready to go. And right now, that's all we got. We're waiting, and if it's longer than, obviously we saw Dale Coyne Racing in an article today. He wants to make a decision hopefully before Thanksgiving. That would certainly help. Yeah. If it gets any later for us, that's probably not good. But right now we feel really strong, and I feel thankful for my supporters that are hanging with us, because it would obviously be lovely to just continue to plan around what's going on. And then maybe there's other things that are going on too. Like I know I said Dale Coyne Racing is the only seat that's open, but to be fair, I got to be honest, maybe there's a couple other sneaky options too. Maybe there's a couple other sneaky options.
Okay,
so,
what kind of sneakies are we talking?
I'm not gonna let anyone know, but the doors are not closed.
We'll talk off the air.
The doors are not closed anywhere in motorsport, as we've learned. So that's what's going on with me. I wanted to share that story with you, Chase, because I thought you'd find that funny and just see what you're.
Badass to have you here in Charlotte, man.
It would have been fun. It would have been fun, but
who knows?
Yeah, but the fight goes on to see where our future is going to be. I don't know. It's a wild one. So
You got the dog in you. Ain't gonna give up easy.
Yeah, I never give up. I'd rather die than give up, honestly. So there's no point in living if you're not pushing for something. So here we are. And I appreciate those folks. Honestly, it was cool to even have the conversation. There was a lot of folks that are on the NASCAR side that were very helpful in this whole process. And honestly, very, very kind folks over there. But it's business, and I know how the business works. So moving on. Speaking of NASCAR, there was, I'm going to go ahead and say, hand up, officially, I'm out on the playoffs. I don't like it.
Yeah, me too, but I've been very loud.
I think I'm now out. I was okay. I'm okay with entertainment, and I will say that there are some moments leading up to the final race where it was exciting to, watch the Roval and, cars have to wreck each other in the last corner to try to make it in. And the Ross Chastain thing at Martinsville, the wall ride. There have been some crazy moments that, again, you would not get in a normal points championship. So, again, I do understand the entertainment factor. I do. I do not like, however, the fact that what Denny Hamlin went through on that last race. And again, first of all the tire issues that they were having, that's almost inexcusable as well. Like that, you shouldn't have cars just blowing tires left and right. And we've seen that before. And, it's part of that. Again, like the commentators did mention this during Phoenix, but the tires are supposed to be run at a certain temperature or a certain pressure. And a lot of the teams
they don't always do that.
Exactly. And we do the same thing in IndyCar, though. Like there's a recommended pressure, and usually lower than that is better. Now, that's not always good for the construction of the tire, which we can obviously see. But I just don't like to see that. That seems like, again, another thing that's taking the racing out of the driver's hands. You know what I mean? Like just blown tires left and right.
It's a roll of the dice, man. I mean, that's the thing.
But it shouldn't be like that. You know what I mean?
I get it. But they have, the recommended sheet. And like that, there was a time, like I feel like last year and the year before when the tires were blowing up really bad the way that they were, like they kind of like pushed the blame to Goodyear a little bit more. But like now I feel like where they've gotten this thing to where they kind of really have a good understanding of how to construct these things. If the teams are going to play around like that in such a high stakes moment, I mean, it kind of falls in that direction. And so that's just kind of how from the conversations I've had to people I've talked with, like that's kind of where it's just like, it's just it becomes one of those racing deals, I guess you could say.
But there's just too many, right? Like if there was one, okay, yeah, no, I get it. But they were just blowing left and right, and I didn't like to see that. And then, honestly, like I believe that Denny had done everything he needed to do to win that championship,
he did.
And so
he did.
Not that I have any problem with Kyle Larson. I like Kyle Larson a lot. I think Kyle's a great guy,
he's a champion,
great driver,
he's the champion for sure. Yeah,
but then we saw the same thing happen with Connor Zilisch, which I think people had almost this, if not more of a problem with, but similar amount of problems with.
That's where it started, and it got worse.
That's where it started.
Sunday.
It did.
Yeah.
Connor Zilisch, has been on a generational run that guy might be the next coming of the greatest driver that's ever been on this planet.
It looks that way.
Very good and insanely talented in everything that he's been in. So
multiple cars,
multiple different vehicles, Rolex 24 winner already, all kinds of stuff. So that one I had more of a problem with because, and a lot of people did on the internet. Because, again, I just the most dominant driver usually wins the championship. It's in your mind. That's how it works, right? Like
and
if Corey,
on the IndyCar side, for sure.
Yeah, if Corey Heim didn't win the truck championship, oh goodness gracious! I mean,
that would have been an really bad weekend.
3 strikes and you're out. Yeah. Oh my gosh. And I know that this is a lot of NASCAR talk for an IndyCar program, but I really hope your mind is open to it because this is motorsport in general, and a lot of this stuff that happens there, it's in conversation with us as well. It's not just two completely separate worlds. I just think that system maybe has run its course. Was it because we see things in motor racing that come and go, and that happens. Different race formats. I mean, for a long time, there were single file restarts, and we tried double file restarts in IndyCar for a while. Like, it was all kinds of stuff that has happened. You try it out, and you go back to maybe something that works, or you figure out another way. And I just think that after this weekend, the general consensus, and I got deep into the web. It does seem like we are mostly on the same page. It does seem like, hey, all right, it's had its run. And maybe the full season championship format is better. And I know you've talked a lot about it, Chase, but I mean, you definitely agree, right? I think, hey, let's get back to maybe I don't know if there's a place for maybe certain races are worth double points. I don't know. Maybe that's an interesting one. Maybe that kind of spices it up a little bit. But I don't know.
I think for me, like, and this does tie into IndyCar because, I came into this as a NASCAR fan. I came into this world as a NASCAR fan. And so I remember being very young, the Winston Cup points. And then during like the chase and stuff like that, I was really big into other things going on in my life. We would just go to Talladega every, couple of years, and my dad and his friends, we just enjoyed the event. I enjoyed watching a race, and I cared about who was going to win the race. So being in IndyCar now, and really kind of like dipping my feet into IndyCar over the last, 4 years, it's really shown me, how much I appreciate the legitimacy of a season-long championship. And I think it's a perspective that maybe a lot of people that are just solely boxed in the NASCAR world don't really get, or maybe they don't watch a lot of F1 or things like that. And so I can completely attribute like my want for full season points coming from seeing how things play out in IndyCar. It feels right. It just feels right when someone is out there doing something like Alex Palou did this year. It would feel so wrong if he didn't win the championship because of just waxing everybody all year long. And so when you look at that, I think that, and a big thing that I've been saying too, and I just want to make sure it's clear, like a lot of people were talking about the chase, and I've talked to multiple drivers that are like, I wouldn't mind going back to a 10-race chase. But I think that the way Denny lost that race, even though, you can get all technical about how points are over here or over there, they're racing in the playoff format. They're not racing in the Winston Cup right now. They're not racing in the 10-race chase. They're not racing F1 points. All that doesn't matter. You throw all that talk out the window. What matters is the way that they race is specifically engineered for this playoff format.
Yes.
And but with Denny doing all that he did throughout that race, and then it all coming down the way that it did, I think that was like the straw that broke the camel's back for people that were on the fence between a 10-race chase, and full season points.
I think if Denny wins,
so many,
maybe less flack. I think still the Connor Zilisch thing is crazy, and the whole thing about him not getting enough like FIA points after that as well.
That's what pisses me off about it. It's like
crazy.
That held him up from that in a way.
It's like they determined that because Connor Zilisch didn't win that championship, according to the FIA, that he couldn't test the hypercar because he was a worse driver potentially than not winning the championship.
10 wins, dude.
To me, that is the biggest farce of all time. Like that whole thing, seeing some of those drivers that are in hypercars, are you kidding me? Like there's a lot of great drivers in hypercars, but also don't tell me that we're going to hold Connor Zilisch back because he didn't win the Xfinity championship. Insane. Like literally the dumbest thing I've read a lot of dumb things. I try to get rid of all these Facebook AI pages all the time, and people still keep commenting on it. And it makes, I feel so sad for those people that they have to fall for this stuff all the time. But anyway, I've read a lot of dumb things, and that was one of the dumbest things ever. I was like, you're telling me that probably a generational talent is just, yep, sorry, we're going to go ahead and not have him allowed to run in this hypercar test because
we have to respect the integrity of the systems.
Oh,
like
that stuff for me. For me, there's rules are rules, I guess, but there's a lot of that, and it's the same thing with the FIA point system for super licenses. I mean, that is a whole bunch of baloney. That's in the first place. So FIA's got to sort out a lot of stuff. It seems. I don't know if the whole point system and judging certain people on certain areas of their driving ability, it's crazy. So
stats don't lie. Just look at stats. Just look at stats. See stats. Make common sense judgments.
That was for me, a big thing, and a lot of people had asked, and I don't even know where this comment got brought up, but personally, I don't see IndyCar at all looking at a playoff type system. I don't know why it was brought up. Maybe the Fox deal, because Fox is obviously a part of NASCAR
because of the Fox deal.
Yeah, and I understand that, but only in my own personal opinion, I don't believe that's going to happen for us. I don't see any of the owners agreeing to something like that at all, because I think it's just not what IndyCar is. It's not, and I don't believe that that's going to happen. So I don't want to. That's kind of where I want this crossover point of like, hey, is that going to happen in IndyCar too? I was like, no, let's calm down before we start throwing stones at something that doesn't need to be stoned. I believe that that's not going to happen for us. Now, again, I could be wrong, but I think the history of our sport is, NASCAR's obviously got an incredible history as well, but I think the depth of the open wheel racing history, I just don't think that that's going to happen. So,
yeah.
I mean, one thing though that I didn't hate sometimes was, I don't mind the idea of double points races randomly. That's kind of really interesting to me. It is a little bit gimmicky, as people like to call it. But if you really want to kind of spice certain events up compared to others, I actually don't hate that idea. It could obviously go very bad or very good, but I'm open to that idea. Now, again, you can debate me on that all the time. That's fine. I don't mind that. But, again, we've got to think of what we're competing against. You guys, everyone has to think about what we're competing against again. You're competing against every day influencers on the internet that are taking up everyone's phone time and TV time, everything like that. You're competing against the NBA, the NFL, MLB, whatever sport you're going. Obviously, IndyCar only goes up against certain things during the summer, NBA, baseball, stuff like that. But those channels, those sports are still producing content that you have to, we're fighting against all of that stuff. So we have to create some very worthwhile entertainment to get all those eyes that are paying attention to everything else that's going on in this world, which is a ton of stuff. So you cannot hate the series folks, the series leaderships for trying to do something. Now, I believe that the playoff system has been tried, and maybe it's okay. It's done.
Yeah,
and maybe you get that exciting revamp back into like, oh heck yeah, full season points, and everyone's pumped about it. Who knows? It just seems like maybe that's run its course. Would you agree, Chase?
There's so many people like that I've seen, because I've been very loud about this over the last week, and there's been people in the comments that I've been seeing that, like I said, are lifelong NASCAR fans. They're like, I watched multiple IndyCar races this year, and I didn't care that the points championship was already sewed up. They were raving about Nashville, raving about Milwaukee. Like, the most important thing is getting people focused on where are you racing that day, who's going to win that race that day. Focus on the points for fans once you get down the road, because those points, the point system is what you guys are looking at and what you're competing for week in and week out, and it just creates an authentic product because from day one what the goal is. The fans can focus on the event itself and the race, and then you have that body of work that gets built. And I think that with people talking about how the ratings are going up with IndyCar, they enjoyed it even though the championship was already sewed up. People get very used to just regurgitating opinions sometimes. And
there were still like Alex Palou dominant for sure, but there were great stories of folks that were competing for their very first wins. And Christian Rasmussen, you had Joseph Newgarden, who had such a rough year winning the last race of the season. I mean,
it was entertaining, dude.
It was very entertaining. Yeah. And even as a driver, I found it to be very entertaining as well. Every race was a new battle. So I just think that I don't think IndyCar's heading that way. I did want to talk about it though, because I think it's worth talking about, because no matter how you feel about NASCAR, I know that a lot of IndyCar fans are like, I would never watch NASCAR, which is fine. That's cool. You don't have to. But it is a very large piece of the motorsport puzzle. So you kind of have to talk a little bit about, hey, how does this affect how, our sport continues to go into the future? And I think it actually helps us, because if there was ever a thought of IndyCar playoffs, I think that thought probably got put into a little trash bag and put in a boat and just
died quick.
Goodbye. Yeah, see you later. At least I hope so. I don't know.
Multiple drivers came out this year and were just like, no. You remember when Kirkwood, he got snappy with a reporter, dude. He quipped him, dude, real quick.
Yeah, so let's, so we'll see what happens. But I just really wanted to talk about that, because Connor Zilish, I believe, deserved that championship. Nothing against Jesse Love, obviously, and that
he
group.
Brought the best car that day, Jesse.
Absolutely,
did.
Yeah, best situation. And Denny Hamlin, that whole situation was very sad.
Heartbreaking, dude.
I tell you what, motorsport, again, like we mentioned earlier, with the whole having a job and then having it taken away from you, like that. This sport is ruthless, and yeah, just a wild thing. So, a couple other IndyCar news nuggets. Also, we have Tyson Ritter on our show today, by the way, for our season finale, a guest who is a superstar right now, an IndyCar sponsor as well, sponsor of me, the All-American Reject, lead singer for the All-American Rejects, who are on tour currently with the Jonas Brothers, although Tyson is actually stepping back right now because he's got to let his voice rest a little bit. They've been touring like crazy. I got to see him in Indianapolis not too long ago. Amazing show to see them play live in Indianapolis at Cambridge Fieldhouse. Awesome performance. But that's a fantastic interview. Tyson is he's got an incredible mind. And so we get to hear what he thought about his IndyCar experience this year, being an IndyCar sponsor, being an IndyCar fan now, a new IndyCar fan. This is what we want to hear, and this is what we want to see. So I think you guys will really, really enjoy that interview. And I honestly am very, very proud of that one as well. So
he's a cool guy.
Yeah, absolutely. So we talked a lot about IndyCar officiating. I had some problems with it. I still do have some problems with it, but it does seem like they have gone a different route. So IndyCar is hiring an independent officiating group, it sounds like. It looks like. Now, a lot of people have said, but they still work for Penske. You can't say that. Like that's not... I know it's easy to be like, well, no matter what, they still work for Roger, so everyone's going to get the same thing.
Anybody still works for...
Guys, that's not... You can't think of it like that, because guess who got severe penalties this year for things that were done wrong? Penske. Like, I don't understand that type of... Again, you happy to feel however you want to feel, but I'm just telling you, it's not the way you think it is. Like, the reality of the situation is they are doing this because they're trying to make it even more of a fair officiating system. If anything, right now, it's just not working correctly, I don't believe. So we need a change, and IndyCar is willing to make a change. Now, I don't know who this independent officiating group is going to be. I don't know how it's going to happen. But I think this is the right move, honestly, personally. I think this is the right move to change it up. I think that there are far too many questionable driving standard issues that need to be addressed, and we have to have a stricter system in place. We just have to have a system that works a little bit better, personally. That's my own personal opinion. So that'll be really interesting, I think. I think it's a good thing for the series, Chase. I believe that this system, depending on who it ends up with, could be good. So
I just think that for anybody, like, they kind of have to work for IndyCar and Penske if they're going to officiate for the series. Like, that's, I don't know. I don't really get that whole thing there. But the thing is what matters is that IndyCar is listening, and they are trying to make things better for fans and give the fans a little bit more of what they want. So it's like, when those things are happening, just trust the process, dude. Like, it's offloading that to another group is probably the best thing, because that's their sole focus, and they don't have any other hats to wear or any other things to do. They can just focus on that one task, that one job, and they're going to be able to do it great.
Absolutely. So yeah, I think that's honestly, there's been a lot of stuff that's going on. And there's still a lot of news to come. I think there's still so many things that are going to play out. Me personally, as I mentioned, a lot going on. I just went to Red Rocks over the weekend. I was at Marco Andretti's house for Halloween. Had a great time out there with Marco. Went to Red Rocks to see Deadmau5 play 2 nights in a row. This is Connor's personal minute here, personal hour. It's not going to be an hour, I promise.
How was Red Rocks?
Great time, Red Rocks. If you haven't got a chance to go out there and see a concert, you have to do it. Red Rocks, incredible. Our producer Bobby probably knows as well because he's a musical wizard. The Red Rocks venue is just an incredible place to take in music and to see. And so that was a lot of fun and a lot of IndyCar chatter out there too. We had a lot of people saying, "Hey, we watched IndyCar this year. Great." And that normally I would say back in the day that probably wouldn't happen as much. So it was cool to share some of the IndyCar love out there, but enjoyed that. Enjoyed being out in Colorado. I had a friend, my friend's house that I sit out there. His name's Jeff Gordon. Honestly,
Yeah.
like literally, his name is Jeff Gordon, not the race car driver. So yeah,
Wow.
Jeff. Imagine having what an incredible name.
What's that dude's life like?
He has to say not the race car driver after everything. I assume that's got to be wild.
School had to be wild for him, dude.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So shout out Jeff Gordon for being a great host, and yeah, I had a great time. Chase, what do you think you're gonna do with your next couple weeks? I mean, this is the off season, so we're going into Thanksgiving here soon. I mean, it's snowing outside right now in Indianapolis, so that's kind of wild. I mean, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna go to more dirt races? What are we feeling?
I mean, honestly, I think that was the last dirt race until I know they're going to have a lot of local stuff going on up here. I have no clue what is going to happen for me with the racing side of things, but I do know I'll still be doing my lives on Wednesdays, and then I got family coming up for Thanksgiving now that we don't live in Louisiana anymore. So family's coming up for Thanksgiving, and then we're going to be going back to New Orleans for Christmas. So just
Excellent.
a lot of travel and probably playing a lot of catch with the kiddo in the yard.
Love that.
Over the next few days. But it's very cold here, dude. Very much colder than the
It's colder here,
Louisiana
I promise.
weather.
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah. It's definitely colder there.
It's definitely colder here.
It's cold here too. So it's I'm staying warm and just trying to any piece of racing news I can get my hand on, just something to talk about with the people, man.
I think we got a lot more news hopefully coming soon, and my gosh, I certainly hope that we can get something sorted out soon as well. I'm very excited for the next week. I'm going to get to go out and hang out with the Formula One crowd once again, going out to Vegas to do the commentary at the track. So if you're at that race, you'll see my big dumb face on the big screen. That's occasionally. And I can't wait to go out and see some of the F1 guys, have some fun stuff lined up with some of the boys out there. And I honestly enjoy that week. It's been fun the last couple of years to just catch up with everyone and see a lot of the guys out there. I'm pulling for Lando to win the World Championship. That's my guy. I'd like to pull for Lando there to win the World Championship. I think that would be really cool. I think it's been a great battle. And I think Max is an incredible driver. I think Oscar Piastri is an incredible driver. But I'm pulling for Lando. So we'll see what happens. A couple more races for those guys. It's going to be fun to just be at a motor race, but I still miss the fact that, gosh, IndyCar hasn't been on track in a little while. So again, we're excited to get things going. Hopefully we can sign a deal here and get all of our stuff taken care of. I don't know. I'm at the point where every day's a new day. We're working on building our program and making sure that everyone that we can get in the Connor Daly camp, we can place in the best possible scenario to be successful. So appreciate those folks that are willing to ride with me, and yeah, we will have to see what happens. So I think that's all we got before our Tyson Ritter interview. Let's just get into it. With that, with all of our discussions, our season finale interview with an absolute superstar, a guy who is now an IndyCar fan, a guy who is an incredibly talented, smart, creative artist, Tyson Ritter, the lead singer of the All-American Rejects. Ladies and gentlemen, we are very, very honored to have a great friend of mine on our show this week, a great friend of mine here to talk about, well, a few things, but his new love for IndyCar racing, his talent that goes beyond the musical world, that goes beyond the world of the arts. A man who has blessed your ears with musical fusion for years that is honestly awesome, and a man who is part of a band that is absolutely on a majestic and mythical run currently. Tyson Ritter from the All American Rejects. Thank you so much for joining the Speed Street podcast.
Dude, I am amped to be here. Thank you for having me, and it's really nice hearing you put together a bunch of pretty words that I have to laugh. I have to laugh at in order to feel like humble. So ha ha ha, musical confusion. I would have said confusion. But, hey, thank you. You're too kind, and it's been a pleasure to grow our friendship in the public eye. I feel like everything we do is public. So if we ever do cross that platonic barrier, I think it's going to have to be in a glass box in Times Square.
Well, we started this at the dinner in Laguna Seca, where this whole idea, I mean, this isn't where I met you, but that was our first just raw hangout, and we threw together some ideas, and it was awesome. But I want to get your first initial reaction of when you showed up to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, because for the folks that don't know, Tyson on the All American Rejects, they played Carb Day at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, an incredible show. That's where we met. And I just want to get your raw reaction of like when you got there and you're like, oh man, this is a Friday at a racetrack, middle of the day. This is kind of wild. What was your like first thought when you saw what was going on there?
I mean, my first thought was this feels like where I would love to be for the zombie apocalypse. There's 300,000 people in a self-contained I think, only thing that place was missing was its own currency to be something so like truly Atlantis above ground for racing. It was like being in a civilization that was completely independent, and its god was the track. And as long as God kept sacrificing mortals on that track, then the rain would happen and we would get our harvest. I felt like I was a part of this. I felt like I was just a part of this thing that I hadn't been a part of since I was a kid, which was just being a pit kid at a drag race track for my dad. And when I did, it was very farm league, and it was I forgot. It almost made me wake up to a thing about like almost a forgotten America, in a sense that everybody knows the Indy 500 happens, right? And it happens, and for a lot of people who are into the sport, it's on Fox, and that's all they know about it. And they didn't watch Fox that day, so it didn't happen. But for almost 500,000 people in attendance to gather for this love of a sport that honestly has quietly built itself into a monster over the last 5 years in a real way, in tandem with F1. I felt like I was at this precipice moment, especially opening the show for Bret Michaels, when you could see we had a crowd and he had a crowd, and our crowd was there too. And our crowd is almost the new guard coming in of younger fans of Indy racing. So it felt like this really neat torch passing moment where I was like, oh shit, I'm going to probably be playing the Indy 500 again in 5 years, and headlining it. Like it made me feel like, wow, this is where I come from as a Midwestern Oklahoma, garage kid. And it just felt like, yeah, I was like, I found my people. And then we met, and I was like, yeah, man, look, there are good people. There's assholes on stages that we tour with. There's assholes on the track. And the first guy that I met was you. And I was like, wow, it's really nice to meet someone who represents what I always kind of deified as the Richard Petty, the good guy that keeps the wholesome I don't know, man. You're just, and I don't mean that to reduce you into some sort of label. I just think you're just a really, you're a guy that speaks for not only the sport in a representative way, but I think the good parts of America that people often write off for flyover state shit. Like, oh, you guys play cornhole and you guys, I mean, you know, for like a little, I've lived on the coast, and when you tell them I'm from Oklahoma, people go, oh, you know, racism. And you're just like, no, I mean, fucking, there's more racists in Northern California than there are in Oklahoma. So go fuck yourself. And also, like, that's not, if I generalize one area, if I generalize a human being, then I'm completely discounting their humanity. And so, yeah, it was a really cool, that's a long-winded answer to just sort of like the awakening that I had at Indianapolis. Cause I was like, oh man, this feels like home and there's good people here. So that was cool.
I love that. I mean, that was a tremendous answer. I had a feeling that, after getting to have some conversations with you too at dinners and different places, I love where your mind goes, honestly, because I think you've got a lot going on up there, and that people want to hear it. And so I really respect that. And so after this, the Indy 500, we were like, hey, we got to get you to another race. We got to get you to somewhere where you can come and check out like race morning, maybe at a different track, different experience, and bring your dad, who's obviously, you know, he's a racing guy as well, as we discovered together. I guess, were you just kind of interested in the sport from then on? You were like, hey, maybe we give this a try, and this is something that, you know, could be entertaining for you and your family to come check out.
I mean, IndyCar is a bug, I think, and I think it bites you, and I think it's kind of like how people react to different mosquitoes. And for me, it was like the welt kind of grew over time, and I immediately had an itch for it. And when I got my dad to come out to Laguna for me to be Grand Marshal and to hang with you and to just kind of go around the pit area, you know, it was like, honestly, man, I haven't hung out with my dad in years like that. So, I mean, it endeared me to the sport all the more, but also watching him get sucked in from that moment that he was there. He was watching it every Sunday up until Nashville, and he was at the dinner when we talked about wrapping your car, and he was kind of contributing to that. I don't know, man. Honestly, if it all just disappeared tomorrow, that was like the greatest. You know, and even when we stayed in Laguna, like I woke up at 6 a.m. We went on like a walk and talked about like some unreconciled past shit. It was like a therapeutic, it was really great for me and my father. And I'll never forget that it all was wrapped around this experience. And I think that that's kind of what we've missed post-COVID collectively, is these experiences of community, of gathering. And whether we've acknowledged it or not, whether, you know, we realize that, wow, man, that football game was really good. That's like, oh, wait, no, I needed this. We're tribal as people. And the fracture of our connective tissue that happened, and that we're still in the trauma of post-COVID. Families have had that sort of rapturous effect on the way they communicate since then, because they were either like not able to be around each other. But it's entertainment, it's sporting events, it's racing. It's these kinds of activities that are bringing us closer together as a community, which I think right now, especially in all the division right now, because of the separation, and it's so comfortable for us to be ourselves online now, you know, for us to be together at an event like this, it's gladiatorial, it's primal, and the adrenaline everybody gets by proxy of watching things go fast is like, it's our nature to have those chemicals, that adrenaline, the endorphins, the serotonin of togetherness, of having your car win or place really well. It's it's a good feeling.
I agree. And let's talk a little bit about this dinner, right? So you and I, the whole story is we decided to sit down, have some dinner in Monterey. And honestly, that was just to hang out. Like if we finally got a chance to just relax and chill and just talk about life. And I kind of explained to you a little bit about how this world is a difficult world. It's a wild business. And we came up with this idea after a little bit of chatting about, hey, what would an all-American
Rejects
bottle of
wine? It was
car
a bad
look
oyster
like?
and a great bottle of wine.
It was a bottle of wine. Yeah. But tell the people, because I love just giving people the raw truth of like how life works out. Because I think life has been a wild ride for me, and I love how things can and people can get together and things can just kind of blow up from there. And for those next 2 weeks, I mean, we were on the phone almost every day trying to make a race car, essentially.
That's right. Yeah, man. And honestly, I think a lot of, especially like in this world now where everything feels so disenchanted and like it's all packaged and everything's sort of like even especially in music, you see a lot of just, kind of, what do they call them? Like groomed and sort of like fostered through the system to be successful as opposed to just being natural and organic. And yeah, you got me all liquored up, Connor. You unleashed your silver tongue and you shook our purse strings. No, what really happened was, honestly, we were there. I was already trying to, it's funny, like Connor started talking about the business, but you were talking about the business, but for me, it was like, once you got on the fact that you didn't have 2 wraps for the last 2 races, I was like, man, my brain, I don't even think, I don't even know how I was just like, man, I feel like we're supposed to do this. I got all woo woo about it, man. I'm like, this is meant to be. And the moment we left that dinner, dude, I was like hell bent. I was like, we're wrapping this car. This is going to happen. And it's Nashville. My guitar sponsor, Gibson, was sponsoring the race. I was like, everything, the stars were aligned to make Music City happen. And what was great is every other band that wrapped a car this year, like, or especially in that race, like spun out and burned out and like crashed. And you drove up from 26th to 5th. And I was like, this is a classic Rejects like win. And it was just so cool because I know you were really frustrated on the track for qualifying. And I was like, man, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. I was like, and if it's going to happen, it's because this fucking Rejects are on that damn car. I remember we played the race and we were on a private flight and I was like getting real-time texts and everybody was like comatose because they were burnt. Like we'd like, burnt the candle to make this show happen in Nashville. And I kept waking everybody up. I was like, he's fucking second. He's 4th. Yeah, it was having not been there, it was actually really exciting. The race was I was there, man.
You know what? And for me to finish the season like that, it felt really good to have you guys on board. It felt good to create a storyline, to have some of the moments that we did, because it was an awesome race. And I think we could have maybe gotten close to winning if things, play out a different way, but it was still one of the best races of our season. And honestly, it still means the world to me that you guys were there, that we got the coolest race suits ever made, that we, by the way, yeah, I think I might bring my race suit this weekend to your show.
Oh, nice.
I want you to sign it. I want everyone to sign it.
Oh, I think, man.
I gotta have all you guys sign my suit that I wore, and I'm going to frame it.
Hell yeah, dude. Yeah, no, that was the craziest thing, because I've been talking to Kid Super, who designed that suit, for like a couple weeks before that, because he put some clothes on me for Jimmy Kimmel, and then I was like, I called him. He was in the bathtub. I was like, hey, man, would you want to like do this? And he was like, yeah, man, that's cool. And working with Christian at OSB, like I could tell Christian was pulling his hair out, and he still made it happen. I couldn't believe the turnaround on that suit, man. Yeah, definitely the suit probably gave you some juice.
Without a doubt, and I can't wait to have it's going to be on my in my house prominently for the rest of my life, because that is a very memorable experience. I'm going to let Chase jump in here too, because he's a big music guy, and I know he wants to get you some questions.
Cut to the chase.
Yeah, I wanted to just say thanks for being a small part of my mornings watching Fuse almost every day of my life as a young boy. I woke up with you singing to me pretty much every morning, so thanks for that. I was a big music first guy, and then I got into racing and sports as I got a little bit older. And I guess one question that I have for you, like, you've played a good bit of sporting events. I know that you played at Richmond back in 2009, was a NASCAR race. You recently did the Savannah Bananas game. And you've done you did the Nashville finale at IndyCar. Is there a different way that you approach playing a sporting event versus just kind of like a normal concert? Or do you have any different type of headspace you're in? Like, what's the perception on that side?
No, I mean, for me, if it's a fight, because I don't know who all's out there, like which is kind of like these sporting events, it's more fun because I get to be, it's when you're walking out there and people already want you to win, then it's kind of easier to kind of relax, or just, you don't have to, I wouldn't say you don't have to try as hard. I just think you're not as conscious of the crowd because they're with you from the jump. But it's almost like Warped Tour was, where when it was your slot, you jump out there and you were there to convert. And so when you're on your soapbox and you're preaching your gospel to the unconverted, your religion matters more. And your Bible is you want to drive home the big themes of your religion. And music is so non-denominational, and I think, I could get really heady into the whole organized religion of life and how it's kind of corrupted us all. But my whole thought is music is God, and there's so many different beautiful translations of it. And if people are hip to what you do, then it gives them a respite from themselves, gives them a moment of exaltation to sort of lose themselves. That's like what I chase within myself on stage. And if that umbilical cord is connected out in the audience and you're feeding each other that sort of reprieve from life, to sort of connect not only with music, but with those who are in attendance to it. If, two people that have completely different political affiliations, which were probably at that Bret Michaels All-American Rejects show, the fact that those people can stand next to each other and smile and not have an argument or just connect with something that maybe they wouldn't have connected with anything else in the world on. That's like what we're here for, man. That's like I'm not here to change the world. I'm here to, just kind of evoke connection. And at sporting events, I think it's a fun fight. Yeah, it's a fun fight, and you win some, you lose some. I don't think at sporting events we've ever really had a loss. It's just been more about like, how much did we win? Did we win enough? And Indy 500 was a beautiful day. The Savannah Bananas was honestly this summer's been very historical for this band, in the sense that we were pretty much, not one foot in the grave, but like we hadn't woken up the beast in a long time. We kind of thought we were going to get to have a fun little walk around the U.S., but it's been something that we could never have anticipated, and we're grateful, man. Absolutely grateful.
Love that. It's almost like it kind of like woke up, like when you play those shows, it's like you kind of step more into the unknown. Maybe those butterflies come back like in the very beginning of things, as opposed to like when you're going out to your fan base where things maybe get a little robotic or kind of the same.
No,
it's
dude,
like you kind of get thrust back into that.
Yeah, I'm on this show right now with the Jonas Brothers, and I got to be honest, man, I was playing eye level in backyards with people that were there for my music, and to go from this, a microphone and a face right there at the end of it, to this, this is hard. This is, I mean, everybody, it's funny, man, not to disenchant the projection of you're playing arenas. It's like, yeah, we are, and people are great. But connection is kind of difficult in these bigger places, especially when ticketing has been pushing out the people that need it the most. The whole sort of battle of the concert ticket that is like happening almost I mean, it'll be at a national level next year. So we need artists need the shows that connect way more than you realize. And the ones that don't, man, those are the ones that are just looking at you and seeing a bag of money anyways. So you signed up for it.
Right.
So you guys have been involved in so many, I feel like just, I go to the internet and you guys have an incredible new partnership or something that's been like really fun that you got to do. Some shows in some wild, I mean, I saw a show in the Soho House not too long ago, like some amazing different places. What's been like some of the most fun small venues that you've played recently? And maybe, maybe you can't share what's coming up, but what have been some of the most fun smaller venues that you've got to play recently?
I mean, we played a bowling alley in, I forget where it was.
That's sick.
And people were standing out in the rain. We set up right on the lanes. People were standing out in the rain for 4 hours to not get in, man. And I was just thinking, like, you know, how crazy is that, you know, people are so starved for accessibility to concerts that they're willing to like queue for 4 hours just at a whim that they might get in versus, you know, popping a credit card bill out and just going like into debt and having their funflation fund murder them around Christmas. But yeah, I think bowling alley takes the cake. We played a skating rink where I came in a giant like Zamboni skate. I mean, that's really been the most gratifying thing is not only like getting back to some sort of like primordial essence in which we started playing VFWs or bars or backyards, but playing these businesses that are kind of dying with culture. You know, the bowling alley isn't something you like really think about as being something that might not be here for that long, but honestly, think about the way retail's dying. You're like, man, the bowling alley's probably got its days are probably numbered until it gets, you know, until Quentin Tarantino buys a bowling alley in Los Angeles and it's something really kitschy and nostalgic. And a skating center too, man.
Right.
How many, you know, people would rather slip their thumbs into a remote control, or kids that would have initially probably been skating around a skating rink like we did. I don't even know if you guys did. You guys might have had PS4 and like been like see a skating rink. But like my Friday nights as a school
I
kid,
did take ice skating lessons, if that's what you mean.
I went to the skateboard parks was my big thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, of any kind. But yes, you are graceful, Connor, so it's not a surprise.
You know what? I have a really interesting question that I'm curious to see where your brain takes this, but you've been exposed to our sport and we, you know, maybe not at the massive level yet, but everyone is fighting for eyeballs right now. Everyone's fighting for attention. And we know that you literally have a show tonight, so we're not going to hold you too long, but I just kind of want to know what you think as someone who is currently attracting a lot of eyeballs. When it comes to IndyCar, what do you think is the next step for our sport to kind of take another jump towards not mainstream sport, but just elevate our consistent fan base? You know, just grow those numbers even more and kind of get our sport to a level that I believe it deserves to be at because of the product that we produce on the racetrack, but also the race teams and the drivers. What do you think from a musician's perspective, from an entertainer's perspective? What do you think IndyCar's like next step would be?
I mean, I think it's right there. I saw it when I was at Laguna. I saw the Italians there in the middle of that deserted field otherwise with their little illy pop-up. And I go, 5 years from now, all that's going to be mowed out, and it's going to be Italy, Spain, Mexico. It needs to be worldwide like F1. And I think it should really embrace the Americas that sandwich it. I think there should be Canadian races. I think there should be Mexico races. I think the moment you get the same soccer crowd that loves F1 into Indy, or whatever happened that made F1 blow up so much, it was obviously the way that they marketed it with their convenience of geography. I mean, look, when you're doing a race in Morocco, I mean that doesn't sound like you're hurting for money, so it immediately projects it as being this
Monaco, you mean?
Sport. Sorry,
Morocco would be wild. Yeah, that's right.
That was perfect.
Yeah.
Wherever F1 goes, I don't know shit about that sport. You know what I mean? But I know
that's
that it's
okay.
big.
We appreciate
That's beautiful. That's what we love.
But what I know is it's a global sport, and I feel like the way that they're already kind of reaching across the aisle. I think once that continues to happen, and I think once Indy sort of like, for me, IndyCar is, I think it's just as established as NASCAR, in my opinion, as far as history and lineage. And I think, the moment that they reach outward into that global fan base, which, I mean, look, Fox reads the tea leaves. They just bought a chunk. I mean, come on. It's not really hard to telegraph where the sport's going to be in 5 years. And it's going to be probably based on broadcasting and social media. It's not like it's already there. I don't think Indy has to do anything more except, try not to get too many dickheads out on the track. Keep the sport like classy in the sense that like make sure that there's still great American representation in its identity, because Indy is an American sport. I'm not trying to be nationalist here. It's more just about like don't make it F1. Don't just take what F1's doing and just carbon copy it. Keep it church and state a little bit so that people find a little bit more. I don't know. Indy should be dirtier. Indy should be a little bit more like handmade, gritty. Yeah. They shouldn't walk the track as much. I don't know. I don't want it to go full. I don't want it to go full white glove. I'm sure that's where everybody wants it to go because that's where the money's at. We'll see what happens, right? But
exactly.
all things
yeah.
are.
No, that's great though.
Yeah, I don't know where you guys see it, but that's my very outside perspective.
It's absolutely no, but that's what we love to hear. I mean, it's actually most important to get those folks who have been exposed to it and who have knowledge of other realms of entertainment to kind of build our project. So I know you've got a show literally tonight, so I'm gonna let you go. I honestly so appreciate you doing this for us because you're an incredible person to have a conversation with. I'm very lucky to get to call you a friend, and I honestly can't wait to see you guys rock out this weekend. I'm going to be there. I'm going to go, and I'm going to have a great time, and I can't wait.
You bet. We're going to go to St. Elmo's right after if you want to come, man. Like we're going to get a table. Let me know if you want to see. Yeah, cool. Yeah, man. I can't. I'm
hungry already.
I'm excited to see. I'm sure it's like at a race. You're like, yeah, I'm gonna go do that shit. I'm gonna go play that show. But I'm just excited to see you, man. Fucking, thanks for having me. This is really cool. I don't sport much. I mean, clearly I had the physique of a boxer, but when I had to give up my Golden Gloves, I was lost, and now I found IndyCar. And it's a large in part thanks to you.
Heck yeah. Well, we appreciate you, man. Enjoy your show tonight and the tour. And if you're not going to see the All-American Rejects and Jonas Brothers, you need to be. And if you're not listening to the All-American Rejects new music, we'll put that on your list of things to do every single day.
That's right. Thanks, guys.
All right. Well, what an interview with a superstar. We appreciate Tyson. What he has put into my career, even though, when it comes to the partnerships, right, this was a smaller partnership, but a very, very important one as a team that we were looking for funding all year long. And I believe they still are. And I think it's something that meant a lot to me that he just heard my story and heard what we were working through and heard that I was trying my best to raise money for this team so that we could do the best job possible. And obviously, I worked my butt off to raise money for that organization. And, clearly they decided, who knows what's going to happen, but, it was fun to be able to bring those folks on board, the All-American Rejects. I mean, I don't know who's doing deals like that sponsorship wise, but we made it happen. We were promoting their new music, and if you haven't listened to their new CD yet, you should probably do that. And if you want to go to one of their concerts, I absolutely recommend it. The energy is incredible, and they are just fantastic performers. So I really appreciate Tyson for being a part of not only being a great friend, but for being a part of our number 76 program during the year. That was just super, super meaningful to me. So with that, Chase, we get to our season finale of the Ricky Treadway Random Indy 500 Driver of the Week.
The greatest event of its kind that's ever been run on.
Let's meet the drivers. Who make up the field?
Now, this is my favorite segment because it's our only segment, but there are a lot of people who I think also enjoy this, and I appreciate the fact that you enjoy this because I like learning. I like learning more about Indy 500 history every day. Happy to do that. So let's go all the way back to the 1915 Indianapolis 500. The 1915 Indianapolis 500 was won by Ralph De Palma, who sounds like maybe an Italian mafia member. Maybe Ralph De Palma was in that group. Who knows? Maybe he was in the movie Godfather. I'm not sure. I don't know that.
Definitely cotton balls in his mouth.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I decided on the 17th place finisher, George Babcock. George Babcock is the 17th place finisher. We're going to learn something about George today. George Carlos Babcock was born in 1876. Wow. Whew. 1876. He was also involved in the early days of aviation as a test pilot. Very interesting. Big guy for the air. He was a pilot, it looks like. Something like that.
Pilot.
Hartford, Connecticut man. And once again, we found a driver who only has one Indy 500 to his name. So very, very cool to find these drivers who are part of the Indy 500 history, but only got a chance to do it one time. Sadly died of an illness in 1921. So only aged 45 was George Babcock. Have you found anything else about him?
That's all I found.
Yeah,
This guy,
not a lot of information on old George.
He didn't have a big footprint, but I mean, the big emphasis on his middle name was Carlos. And he was a man of the sky and of the ground. So he liked to fly in the sky and on the ground.
Heck yeah. So there we go. And his qualifying speed was 89.5 miles an hour. So what a speed.
Centennial year.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah, absolutely. So 89 miles an hour, real fast fella. George Babcock. So we appreciate George for being a part of the Indy 500 history. Folks, please leave this podcast a review. Send it out to some folks. Let us know what you think. The Speed Street podcast is now going into an off season. If there's craziness that happens, maybe we will bring it back for an episode. Maybe if I get a job, we'll do something around that.
I think. Yeah.
If you're not following me on the YouTube side, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. The YouTube channel will be my easiest way to put up stuff that happens, or maybe even to discuss things that are going on in this world. and keep your fingers and toes crossed. Keep your fingers, toes crossed, all the above. Tomorrow could be the best day ever. Who knows? We're going to keep fighting for our right to be a part of this NTT IndyCar series and to chase race wins together as a group. And I can't wait to do so. So, hope you guys have a fantastic holiday season, Thanksgiving, Christmas, whatever we're doing. Enjoy it. Have a wonderful time. And we will see you hopefully next year on Speed Street.
Absolutely. Much love, everybody.
Hey everyone, Connor Daly here. Please leave a like on this video if you did enjoy it, and also subscribe to the channel as well. That would be very helpful. Be a friend, tell a friend. Thank you so much for the support, and we'll see you on the next episode of Speed Street.